What you want to know. What you need to know. Talk 1470. WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show with local celebrity hosts Steve O and Rene. Sit back each week while Steve O and Rene educate you with live in-studio experts, such as lawyers, doctors, home improvement, and financial experts in their field. Call in and have your questions answered each week at 888-565-1470. Now, here is Steve O and Rene with today's expert in their field.
Good afternoon.
Good
This
afternoon.
is really kind of strange, isn't it?
A little bit.
We are back.
We are.
Wow, this is the Ask the Expert Show. We are live here in studio WWNN 1470.
It's nice to be back.
It is. It's wonderful. And we talk about all different types of subjects, from legal to health to financial to home improvement.
Everything.
Everything
We
you
run the
could
whole gamut.
possibly imagine. And we have got some exciting guests on the show today.
Yes, we do.
You know, we've never done a funeral show
Are you
before.
tongue-tied?
No,
Untie your tongue.
but we've never done a funeral show today. And there's so much information out there
Yes.
that people don't understand, whether it's pre-arrangement, pre-needs, planning a funeral. I mean, no one wants to do it, but listen, sometimes it happens and we have to. And we got the best.
Yes,
I mean,
we do. So
have-
let's welcome in studio Jack and Gloria Weiss from Weiss Funeral Homes.
Did you almost say Jack and Jill?
I did not.
Good afternoon.
Good
Thank you for
afternoon,
having
Jack.
us. You made a mention about that. One person once said to me one time, "Yeah, it's really mysterious about funeral arrangements because I've never done it before." And that's one of the problems is, that people, unfortunately or fortunately, haven't gone through something like that. And that's why pre-arrangements and our type of funeral service are around.
Is that how you started?
How we started. In the beginning, as they say, I didn't know anything. I was just a child of my father. And what my father told me to do, I did. And it was in the funeral business. And he said, move here and move there. And that's how I got started. I really had no knowledge of anything. What has happened in this state and what has happened in the country is that the old line funeral homes, a lot of them are disappearing. When I grew up, everybody knew the Weiss family, and everybody knew that if something happened, they called Weiss, and there was no questions asked. When I came down to Florida, I had to reinvent this business.
So you actually grew up in New York, though?
Yes, I
Because I
grew up
detect an accent over there.
Yes,
That's your accent.
well,
It's a
I have
familiar accent. I got New Yorkers in the
Well,
house.
I have a Westchester County accent, but sometimes it gets confused with the Bronx.
Or Brooklyn.
Well,
Or Queens like myself.
Yeah, or Queens. Well,
Right.
no, Queens was upper class. Now,
Oh, it was?
yes, yeah, absolutely.
Did you hear that? I was upper class.
Upper class in Queens.
She reminds me every day. But, so why did you decide to come to Florida?
Well, Gloria and I got married about 37 years ago. As I was corrected, I figured 36. But
Mazel tov, that's a long time.
Thank you. And we decided to come to Florida for the weather. And just to start over, I had sold my business to another firm up there. And I really wasn't happy with working for them. And then we came to Florida, and what we did was Gloria established a school for children, early childhood.
Oh, very nice.
And I went back into the funeral business. And as the years progressed, I was not quite happy with what was happening down here. Now, in some cases, maybe it's my fault because I thought I knew everything, or think I thought
like me.
everything. Yeah. And I didn't like
I
what was-
smack you in the head a lot. That's why.
and that's why I started, and I kept on telling to Gloria I was unhappy with the direction of what was happening in the business, and she said, well, then open up. And I said, you sure? Are you sure you're going to be able to take this type of thing that happens? Do you know whether you're going to do business? You know whether you're going to be successful? And thank goodness I listened to her, and
We know who
been in
wears the
business.
pants in the family, don't we?
Yes, we
oh
do.
yes. There's no question about that. That the
You're used to that, right, Steve?
Right. Well, we have a good division of authority. I say yes, dear, and just do what everything is.
Did you
there.
wait a second? Take notes. Did you
Yeah.
hear that?
Okay, I heard.
I'm just
heard
saying,
that.
get your pen out.
Yeah, right.
You know, and I've been very fortunate. Everybody should be as lucky as I am to have somebody that's patient, that doesn't say why I can't go shopping, or why I can't do this, that she worked with me with this business and setting this business up. She was just as active as I was, in fact, maybe even more with some of the organizations. The most important thing that has happened is that networking part, because, as I said, you have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
So how do you get people to know you? You go to different meetings, different functions for different groups, and they get to know you. And it's not an overnight thing. It
Of course
really
not.
takes time for people to trust you. And this business is based on trust.
Yeah, I would think so.
And compassion.
And caring,
Yes.
and professionalism, which I
Yes.
got to hear when I was at your chapel last
Thank you.
week, which we're going to talk about today. So tell us, what's the difference between a family-owned business and one of these big conglomerate funeral homes?
Well, basically, the conglomerates have come in and, as they expanded, have taken over some of the family businesses for a variety of reasons. There's nobody left to take over the company. The gentleman that's running it really wants to make a profit and sell it at the time that the company is doing well, and then they come in, and it's nothing wrong with a conglomerate taking over the business. I would never say anything bad about anything, but the point is that if somebody comes to me or any family-owned business, you make a decision. You're a decision maker. When you're in the conglomerate, they set up the guidelines, they set up the profit and losses, they set everything up what somebody can do, and there's always somebody over the shoulder watching them that they can't make a decision. If somebody
Sounds very cold.
Right. So if you're a family-owned business, you make your own decisions.
I make my own decision. Good, bad, or indifferent,
exactly.
I make my
You make your own mistakes too.
Right.
So.
Right. Nothing's perfect.
Right.
You're dealing with people that have had a loss or are thinking about creating. They call me on the phone and they say, "Jack, my mother is ill. What can I do?" So we talk about it, because nobody should wait until the last minute
Right.
and come in. Because, again, to get to the beginning, it's not like it was in the old days where you made a phone call and the guy took care of your father and grandfather and great-grandfather. There was a relationship there. There's nothing here. So you have to do it over and over again. And then all of a sudden, after 20 years of business down here, people are calling me up and said, "Mrs. Jones said I should call you, that you took care of her family," things like that.
I know what I'm going to do when my fish passes away. I'm calling Jack, okay? Doesn't matter what time it is.
Is it big enough to cook?
Listen, your fish is already gone.
Oh, I thought he was doing the backstroke.
Did you hear the toilet this morning? The fish is gone.
Okay.
Forget about Jack.
Okay. So now, a lot of people don't know the difference, between, you have funeral services, but you do cremation also.
Yes.
So tell people, listen, there's people who've never had cremation, but it's been willed that they want their body cremated.
The cremation is just another form of a funeral service. But essentially, instead of going to a cemetery, although you can, you're having a cremation, which can be in 3 different processes. You can have what they call a direct cremation, meaning that there's no service and no remembrance. It's rather cold.
That is cold.
But that's what some people want to do. And in many cases, this is based on a financial need. And my job
Because
is
it's
a
less
service
expensive to do the cremation?
Yeah, and my object is the service of family. I'm not here to tell somebody what to do. I'm here to let them tell me what they want to do and then guide them on that. And then there's what they call a memorial service, where the people have some type of funeral service, whether it's at the chapel or a church or a temple, and but the casket of the deceased is not there. And the third one is a traditional service, where instead of going to the cemetery, you go to the crematory. So that in many cases where people have a certain background, but they have been told that they want a cremation, but they still want to remember the person and they want to maybe take a look at them, that's the type of service. So a cremation could run anywhere from $700-800 to thousands of dollars.
Jack, they have some incredible rates, which we've talked about. What is a normal rate for cremation versus how much you normally charge for cremation?
All right, a normal rate, depending on, of course, the funeral chapel, is roughly around $2,000, maybe even a couple dollars less, a couple of dollars more. My end of it, including the cremation and everything, is just a little bit under $1,000. It's about $895, $945.
How do you do it for so much less?
Well, number one, I cut my cost. I'm not sitting in an 8,000 square foot building where I have a tremendous overhead. I'm able to keep my
Maserati? I saw the Maserati.
You saw the Maserati.
Was that his?
Yeah. Well, I had a choice of buying a house in a Maserati, and
I
being
take the
Hungarian,
Maserati.
I took the Maserati.
Yes, I agree.
So with some firms, you have to be extremely careful out there because you get what you pay for sometimes. And if somebody charges X amount of dollars and then all of a sudden somebody says, I can do it for half that figure or less, there's got to be something wrong. When I give a price, it's everything. I don't wait until the death occurs and then the family get in there and they say, okay, here's your $400, $500, and you say, oh, well, how long do you want to take for your death certificates? If you want to get your death certificates within a week, it's extra amount of money.
Or to pay for additional death
You pay for
certificates.
additional,
Yes.
you pay for additional services, which they never quote on the telephone. These are not the traditional funeral homes that charge these 2,000 charges. They are completely above board and everything. It's only some of these firms that don't even have a building. They're called a storefront. They have no responsibility or anything like that. We have to be careful on that type of situation. But again, a family comes to me, my prices are fair, and I give them affordable service with the same type of service that they would get from some of the major funeral homes. Just
Why
at
don't we
lesser
talk
cost.
why don't we talk about pre-planning, because that's really important as well.
Before we get into that, now let's give people the phone number here.
To call in with
it's
questions.
888-565-1470. If you've got a question for Jack about prearrangement, cremation, give us a call. This is the time to do it. I mean, this
Or if you just want to say hi.
And plus,
right?
Yeah, and plus, Jack and Gloria are going to be on next month. This is going to be a monthly show that we're going to do. So we're going to go to commercial, and when we get back, let's talk about prearrangement.
Perfect.
Weiss Memorial Chapel has been serving Palm Beach County for more than 40 years. Weiss Memorial Chapel combines a kind, caring atmosphere with the finest service and experience. Weiss Memorial Funeral Home is located in Boynton Beach, Florida, and is independently owned and operated. They are dedicated to serving all of their families and honoring their needs. They are a full-service, independently owned funeral chapel. Weiss Memorial Chapel's concept is to have one low price for everyone and to have one low price for at-need and pre-need funerals. They are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to answer your questions with knowledge and caring. They are committed to providing funeral and cremation services with the highest level of care, compassion, and professionalism to the Palm Beach area. They are proud to offer chapel services in their beautiful 150-occupy setting in Boynton Beach or provide services at any cemetery. Weiss Memorial Chapel, located at 202 East Boynton Beach Boulevard in Boynton Beach. Why pay more when the finest in service will cost you less? Call them at 561-737-0001. That's 561-737-0001.
And we're back. You know what? You can actually watch the show live by just going to www.wwnn.
You don't need all those W's. Leave them off.
.com. You can watch us live, and next month you'll be able to watch our show live on the Weiss's homepage.
Yes.
So cool.
Okay, so let's talk about pre-planning, because I think that's really important, because unfortunately when you lose somebody, everybody loses somebody, and I just lost my mother a few years ago, and everything was prearranged, which was such a big headache off of me and my family. So let's talk about that, how important that is.
Okay, well, basically, what you mentioned is very important. Just to go by your background, by your having to walk into a funeral home or call them on the phone, and other than maybe some cost that may have increased over the years or for death certificate, everything's taken care of. I think the most emotional experience that a family has to go through is when they walk into a funeral home and the funeral director says to them, "Let's go take a look at a casket."
Yes. And I didn't have to do that. Thank
You didn't
God.
have to do that. And that is very important. A family should not feel that they're under pressure. They should not feel that they have to make a 5-minute decision that they may regret forever. My father used to call it the would'ves, the could'ves, and the should'ves. What happens is that in your life, you made some mistakes, and you can turn back and say, I should have done that, I should have married him, or I should have bought this car. This is one of the few times that you can do anything you want as long as it doesn't hurt somebody emotionally. You can do anything. If you say to the funeral director, I want to have nobody come to the funeral except for the immediate family, it can be done. And it doesn't really matter what somebody else's say.
So I could uninvite people.
Yes,
if
I was thinking my ex-wife.
Listen,
Right.
if I pre-plan, I could
Right.
uninvite people.
Yes.
So if somebody gets on my nerves, I don't have to
Right,
invite
you know
them.
what?
So
I'm
even
there.
if we're not here, we still have
Listen, you
control.
better be nice to me, Steve O. I may invite you.
I'll be mad at you. I won't
Do you have your
talk to you.
checkbook, by the way?
I won't talk to you.
I'm going to pre-plan right now.
So what happens when somebody comes in and pre-plans, I'm one of the few funeral homes that whatever price I give you for a pre-arrangement is what the price of the funeral will be. I don't have a system where I want to threaten people that if you don't sign for a pre-arrangement, it's going to cost you $2,000 more, $1,000 more.
Now, do you have to pay that all up front?
No, you can pay, depending on the type of service, you can have anywhere from 1 year to 5 years, and if a family really has a financial problem, they can take longer to pay. One of the advantages of a pre-arrangement under the laws of the state of Florida is that I don't have control of the money. You pay me whether it's $1,000, $5,000, or $10,000. It sits in a trust fund administrated by the state of Florida. Until that person passes, that money's there.
And what happens if all the money is not collected before they pass away?
Then the family has to pay whatever is due, but not at an increased price. So, which happens sometimes. Somebody pays for 3-4 years and then they get ill, so they only owe that balance. Secondly or thirdly, you do not have, if you forget, you go on vacation, you're supposed to make a payment. It's not null and void. There's no interest on this.
Oh, that's good.
So it basically, what happens is if a family goes away on vacation and you're thinking about going on vacation and you forgot to make a payment, it's fine. All that happens is that at the time something happens, that balance has to be paid.
Right.
And there's no penalties or anything on
So
it.
you
I'm curious.
Otherwise, they don't get buried, okay?
Exactly.
So you
You
got to
stay
pay.
over there.
So, and the other part is, like you said, when you had with your mother, you know what the decision is. You know exactly what's going to happen.
I know it's funny because she wanted to discuss all, her arrangements that she made, but I didn't want to discuss it because most family members don't want to discuss
No, they
that.
want, especially children really don't want anything to happen to their parents.
Right.
So and again, a lot of people have said to me, I can't talk to my daughter, I can't talk to my son. They don't want to hear anything.
Exactly.
And what we do? We do the pre-arrangement. I give them a copy of everything, and they send it to them so they know. But the biggest mistake some people do is they're secretive. So they go to their children, never tell them that what they did. They say, call Weiss. Now, something happens and they're emotional or away on vacation, they could call another funeral home and end up having to have some extra money that they have to pay
Right.
out. So knowledge is very important. People
Absolutely.
really should know what to do.
And you're available 24/7.
Yes, I'm available. That's why kids don't go into this business anymore. 24/7. Yes.
When I was over there the other day, there was a family over there. So I was watching. I mean, I haven't been through this, though I've lost both my parents. One of my brothers did all the planning. And what was amazing, one of your directors, the compassion, I was like just blown away because, and I know you have to be, but actually seeing it for myself, your director was just unbelievable. It actually I could tell that it brought the family to ease when I was over there. You could just see the demeanor they had when they came in versus sitting down and listening to him.
It's a tough business. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah, it is. It is a tough
I mean,
business.
you deal with sadness all the time.
You deal with sadness, you deal with hostility, you deal with people being aggravated over the person passing, also being aggravated that the person didn't do certain things in their life. A lot of these emotions come out. You have to have some psychology, some background in order to deal with people. That's why sometimes it's harder for a younger person to be in this business because they don't have the experience.
experience.
Yeah, because I'm upset today because LeBron's gone. I mean, it's almost like him
What
dying.
does that have to do with the wife's funeral, huh? The heat went under?
We should all
We're
have
burying
the
them.
amount of money that he's
I know.
That's
burning.
right. You're right.
I hope he's pre-planned. He's got a big enough family now. You also do veterans, too.
Yes. I happen to be a veteran, no big deal, but I feel that they deserve something a little better. So any funerals for the veterans are a full-service funeral, including a hearse. Some firms don't use a hearse for burial at the VA cemetery. Veterans have a great arrangement.
So who pays for that? The state?
The country pays for everything regarding the burial at the Veterans Cemetery. They still have to pay for the funeral, but they do not have to pay for the grave opening, the liner, any of these items. It's probably a $10,000 to $20,000 saving
Wow.
for a veteran.
That's big,
It-
yeah.
it is really a great
And
thing
well
for them.
deserved.
And well deserved. We have a great veterans population. And Florida probably has one of the largest. The South Florida Veterans National Cemetery is maintained. Your tax dollars at work, as I say, and it's very well maintained. And they're very gracious and helpful over there. I always give a discount to a veteran. They're
Good
entitled
man.
to it.
Yes.
My
Thank you for your
prices are
service.
affordable as they begin with, but they do get a discount. There is one other thing that people should be aware of. You started to mention about the state paying for anything. There is if a veteran passes away at the veteran's home or the Veterans Administration, they're entitled to get certain extra money from the government to pay for, like the removal and the hearse to the cemetery. Some veterans, because of their service, are able to be buried at Arlington National Cemetery. You have to have a certain type of background.
That's in Washington, though.
In Washington. And there are some
And who
veterans.
covers the shipping expense?
The shipping expense is covered by the family, except if they pass away, as I said, on those bases.
Because I know you also do shipping.
Yes, we do, and we also do transfer up north for burial. I have
all the New York people down
Yes,
here.
that's
yeah,
what I mean.
I have contacts throughout the United States. In some cases, I can save them some dollars rather than dealing with some of the established funeral homes that are up there. In other cases, I make sure that things are done properly.
Jack, tell everybody where you're located. Give everybody your
Thank
address.
you. My address is 202 East Boynton Beach Boulevard, which is probably a three-quarters of a mile east of 95 and Boynton Beach Boulevard. And we've been there roughly 15 years now.
So you've been there quite some time. Give everybody your phone number.
Phone number is 561-737-0001. That's 561-737-0001. I missed out. I couldn't get all the zeros in there.
Okay, I have to ask, 'cause I'm curious. What do caskets run?
Caskets will run anywhere from $995 to thousands.
Okay,
depending
so
on what the family
Renee
No,
wants.
because
would run-
I need a fancy
No,
casket.
she wants a Gucci one. So would that be more than $995?
Or Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton,
Do you
right.
have any of those, LVs?
Louis Vuitton. There's a story one time where a family came to me and they came in to select a pre-need. And the two ladies came in and they were dressed marvelously. You knew it was Chanel and you knew that what they had a Louis Vuitton bag. And she comes in and jewelry like you can't believe. And she comes in and she says, "I want the plain pine casket." And her girlfriend
She
looked
spent too much money on a purse?
And her girlfriend says to her, and I don't remember her name, of course, nor would I say it, "All your life you never bought discount, and now you're going to buy discount.
Right.
So she went over and bought a better casket on that. So each person is different.
Why are you talking about caskets for me?
I'm just saying.
Don't get crazy over that. That's all
I know
I'm saying.
what kind of casket you would want.
Okay,
we're
we don't
talking
need to
about
discuss
prices.
that.
Okay.
Okay, we're talking about your funeral, not mine today.
Mine's first.
You're much older than me, so don't get crazy.
When we were talking to funeral homes, putting the show together, and when the Weisses called, I went, "Did you remember?" I went, "Yes," because I've heard of
Yes, very good things about your
and
funeral
I've
home.
only been down here for 10 years, and I've heard of Weiss. So you've made a very big name for yourself.
And I don't even know what happened. I guess if you do things right, subliminally, the word of mouth travels. My father once said that bad news travels faster than good news. And I guess the good news caught up with the bad news, because thank God I never had any bad
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
You don't want to give any kind of horrors.
Again with
They
the
know what-
Portuguese. Again speaking Portuguese. Okay. This has been really incredible having you on here today.
Thank you.
We have got the best chapel, Memorial Chapel. Now, you just do Palm Beach, or do you do Broward also?
We will go any place. The only situation is sometimes if somebody wants a chapel service down in Dade, or we have some affiliates that we can rent, like a temple or a church for a service. But basically, the services are up here in Boynton Beach.
Okay.
The majority of families, if you look at what's happened in the industry, the majority of families have not that many relatives left. So a lot of times it's a graveside service. They have
Right.
a graveside service, or in some cemeteries they have like a chapel service there. Sometimes there's no charge for it. Sometimes there is a charge. Families are very realistic. I've never come across a family that has been forced to do something they don't want to do. And that's one of the things that most people have to understand, regardless of what it says in the newspaper. I have never met anybody that has said that they were forced to go into what they didn't want, to
Right.
do what they didn't
Okay,
want.
Jack, we're going to be going off the air, so give everybody your phone number once again in case they have to make arrangements.
Thank you.
Pre-plan.
5-6, or they can call me and
Yes,
ask
anytime he's
information.
available 24/7.
561-737-0001. That's 561-737-0001.
Well, it's been really great having you on. I can't wait again till next month. We're going to go to break. We have attorney Gil Ballou
From Ballou and Ballou.
Law Firm on next. We're going to talk about
Foreclosure
foreclosures.
defense, yes.
So from funerals to foreclosures. Thanks for listening. So we will be right back.
This is almost the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Weiss Memorial Chapel has been serving Palm Beach County for more than 40 years. Weiss Memorial Chapel combines a kind, caring atmosphere with the finest service and experience. Weiss Memorial Funeral Home is located in Boynton Beach, Florida, and is independently owned and operated. They are dedicated to serving all of their families and honoring their needs. They are a full-service, independently owned funeral chapel. Weiss Memorial Chapel's concept is to have one low price for everyone, and to have one low price for at-need and pre-need funerals. They are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to answer your questions with knowledge and caring. They are committed to providing funeral and cremation services with the highest level of care, compassion, and professionalism to the Palm Beach area. They are proud to offer chapel services in their beautiful 150-occupy setting in Boynton Beach, or provide services at any cemetery. Weiss Memorial Chapel, located at 202 East Boynton Beach Boulevard in Boynton Beach. Why pay more when the finest in service will cost you less? Call them at 561-737-0001. That's 561-737-0001. Be sure to catch the Ask the Experts show every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. with celebrity hosts Steve O and Rene as they interview local experts in the field of law, health, financial, and home improvement on AM 1470 WNN.
It might be the door alarm, or the new safety drain covers, the pool fencing, even the swim lessons. But the fact is, you can never know which safety step will save a life until it does. Adding multiple safety steps to your safe pool practices can mean the difference between a close call and a call to 911. Simple steps save lives. To learn some new ones, visit poolsafely.gov. A public service message from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, the American Red Cross, and YMCA of the USA.
Times are tough, and right now those in the commercial world know that being heard via advertisements is the name of the game. AmpSquare.tv understands how important advertisement is and is proud to express that it's truly the only plugged-in internet television production company on the market. Amp2.tv live streams all their shows across all the major selling markets in the U.S. and abroad. Call them at 866-224-5422. The AmpSquare.tv library allows productions to be seen over and over again, making commercial platforms more usable. Call 866-224-5422. Toll free 866-224-5422. Amp2.tv, the first and only internet television network that's truly plugged in. 866-224-5422. That's AMP2.TV. At the law firm of Bilu and Bilu, we can help you if you are facing foreclosure. Don't lose your home due to foreclosures by the bank or mortgage company. Call the law offices of Bilu and Bilu at 954-596-0669. You have rights and we can help you exercise them. At Bilu and Bilu, your first consultation is always free. If your home is underwater or you are behind on your mortgage and you're confused about what to do, we can help. Call our office today, 954-596-0669 or 1-877-BILU-LAW. That's 1-877-BILU-LAW. At Bilu and Bilu, our lawyers have more than 20 years combined experience in real estate law. The banks have lawyers, and so should you. The lawyers at Bilu and Bilu can help you modify your loan or apply for a short sale while they defend your case in court. Contact the lawyers at Bilu and Bilu today so you can sleep easy tonight. Your home is your castle. Trust the professionals at Bilu and Bilu to defend it for you. The law office of Bilu and Bilu handles foreclosure defense in Broward and Palm Beach and all 67 Florida counties. Call the law offices of Bilu and Bilu today at 954-596-0669 or visit us on the web at bilulaw.com. That's BILULAW.com.
And we are back. If you'd like to call us at the station here, it's 888-565-1470. We have the coolest guest in studio. We are live here. Listen, another sad subject. Another sad subject.
Yes.
Foreclosure defense. And we are in the state. This is one of the primo states for foreclosure. If you would like to watch the show right now live, you can actually go to our guest, Gil Bilu.
His homepage.
His homepage.
Bilu and Bilu.
No, but the website is www.bilulaw.com. You can actually go there right now and watch us live. Gil, welcome.
Welcome to the studio.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here today.
Listen, he's got such a great radio voice.
I know, he was just telling me he's from New York.
Listen, this was a score for us because we work with lawyers all the time, and we wanted to make sure because listen, in your business, you hear stories about some of these big law firms that are been investigated by the Attorney General for modification and foreclosure. You guys are so clean, and I've heard so much about your law firm. So this was a score for us.
Absolutely.
To have Bilu and Bilu on our show.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that really I think drives the focus of what we do is I like making money. I'm not going to lie about that. But we really care about our clients, and we put their best interests first.
Right. And I was just telling you before we came on, I actually went through this myself. I actually short-saled my house. And I was debating whether or not to do the foreclosure or short sale. So tell everybody what the benefit is of doing a foreclosure versus doing a short sale.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, for the average person, what are you looking for if you're stuck in a situation where you're in foreclosure, you haven't paid the mortgage, you're not going to be able to keep the house. You can't afford it, you have to move for your job, whatever the situation is, you can't afford to keep the house. Well, Florida is what we call a full recourse state. What does that mean? That means the bank forecloses on your house. They get a judgment for everything that you owe them, plus the interest you missed, plus the real estate taxes they paid, the force-placed insurance policies they put on your house. They get a judgment for a whole lot of money, and a lot of times it exceeds the value of your home.
So you're liable for all those excess fees.
Exactly. We're a full recourse state.
Wow.
So one of the top things that we try to do when we negotiate a settlement to a foreclosure case or when we negotiate a short sale is to get a waiver of deficiency. And that means that's it. It's the end. Once we have a judicial sale, if it's a foreclosure, once we go through the short sale, our clients don't owe anything at the end of the day.
So that alleviates you of everything.
Right. Precisely.
Wow. Because I was going to ask, I mean, I went through a short sale, and I did not know, because it's stupid. If you go through a short sale foreclosure, you must use an attorney.
Yeah,
and I
I'm
did
sure
not.
some people try to do it themselves.
Yes.
Well, here's what happens. When you wind up doing it yourself, or you have maybe an inexperienced person doing it, even an experienced realtor and an inexperienced attorney, they don't always know to push for that waiver of deficiency. We always push for it. I can't say that we always get it, but we push for it as hard as we can. And what we want to do is see you walk away from this situation clean and literally to make a fresh start. Because what happens, and I have a lot of clients like this right now, they did a short sale, and they didn't get into a waiver of deficiency, and somebody went and bought that debt, or the bank went and got a deficiency judgment, and all of a sudden the next thing they know, their wages are getting garnished because the bank has a judgment for the spread between the value of their judgment and the value of the property. Which, you know, I've done short sales where we're discharging a $250,000 loan on a condo that's worth $50,000. Well, can you imagine doing that short sale without the waiver of deficiency, and you're now stuck, you've lost the property, you've had to move, and now you still owe $200,000. Why bother going through the process?
So this has happened to me, so I understand. So how long does it take? Well, first of all, I know that there's a time frame that they could collect from you. So what is that time frame?
Well, there are two time frames that we're looking at. The first time frame was actually just shortened. It used to be a bank had 5 years after the sale of your property to come after you for the deficiency, to come back to the court and say, hey, we have a judgment for $300,000, we have a property worth $200,000, we would like a judgment for $100,000. They used to have 5 years to do that.
Has it been extended?
No, it's actually been lowered. The Florida legislature brought that down to 1 year.
Okay, by the way, I'm safe. I didn't use an attorney.
However,
stupid me.
There is still a 5-year statute of limitations on notes. So that means the bank could come back and file another lawsuit just on the note,
don't tell
on the
me this.
unpaid portion.
Don't tell me this, Gil.
Listen, it
I'm
might
just
happen.
stressing me out. I'm having a hot flash.
Well, let me ask you, Rene, did you get a 1099 at the end of the year? Or was it just this year that you did it?
No. This is a while ago. This is like 7 years ago. Am I good?
You should be good.
Okay.
See, you should.
And I'll tell you what,
Okay.
Rene.
Otherwise, I'm going to have to call you.
Listen, I normally don't work for free, but if you send me a copy of the closing paperwork, I'll take a look at it and I'll help you put your mind at ease.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that.
Somebody
Thank you. I appreciate
knocking on
that.
the door last night at 2 a.m. BA. What is BA? Oh, Bank of America.
I was going to say something, but I'm going to be nice.
Nah, tell them you're at Weiss Funeral Home.
Now, that's funny.
So, like, how long does it take to get this off your credit?
Get it off your credit. That's interesting. What's going to happen, what we found, first of all, everything that we know about credit reporting is known through reverse engineering. Why do I say that? Because the FICO score that you get, what does FICO stand for? Fair Isaacs Corporation.
Right.
They actually developed an algorithm that takes all the information that's reported to your credit bureau and spits a number out the other end. And they won't tell anybody how it works. They won't tell Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion how the algorithm actually works. And it changes depending on the credit situation in the country. So what we've found is that the biggest thing that affects your credit is the number of delinquencies and how recent they are. If you ever looked at a credit report, you'll see that you've got a couple of columns there, 30, 60, 90, 120, 120 plus. Each of those are how many times you've been that many days late on a payment. So you missed your first mortgage payment, you get 130. You missed the second one, you get 160 and 230s. You missed the third one, you get 190, 260, and 330s, so on and so forth. Now, if that's 6 months before your credit's pulled, that's going to have a much bigger effect on your credit score than it will 6 years. What we've also found is that they've really devalued defaults on secured loans for housing, on mortgages. So that somebody who pays all their other bills but hasn't paid the mortgage in 2 years can actually still have a pretty decent credit score. I had somebody come in and tell me they pulled somebody's credit in a situation just like that, and they pulled it at 630, which is pretty decent credit for someone who hasn't paid their mortgage in 2 years. Now, if they'd missed car loans and credit card payments, that would have been another story. But because they paid everything else but that, the weight that the credit reporting agencies and Fair Isaacs puts on missing your mortgage is not as great as it was, let's say, 6 or 7 years ago, where if you missed a mortgage payment, forget ever getting another mortgage.
So what's the benefit of short sale versus of having a foreclosure?
Well,
I mean, which is worse for your credit? I would think foreclosure is.
The foreclosure is going to show as a little bit worse because you're going to have a judgment that stays on your credit for 10 years.
And how about short sales? How long?
Short sales, because there's no judgment, hopefully there's no judgment, and if there is a judgment, it'll eventually get vacated. That no longer stays on your credit report. But what you're going to see on your report are two things that are going to hurt you. One is all those delinquencies, the 30, 60, 90, 120 that I was just talking about. The second thing is that now that account is going to be reported as settled for less than the full amount owed. That means you've settled with them. Like if you didn't pay your credit card and you paid them $5,000 instead of $10,000, they would report that as settled for less than the full amount owed. But that's better than an unresolved delinquency. That's better than showing that you owe $200,000 for 7 years. So we're talking about limiting damage.
So can I ever buy a house again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, when? Because it keeps showing up.
It's going to keep showing up.
But,
I think.
But wait a second, Gil. This is a long time.
Right.
Okay, this is like 8 years now. That's
if you talk to me off the air, I'll put you in touch with a mortgage broker that can probably help you out.
Okay.
Now, I want to know, there's a term I saw, deed in lieu of foreclosure.
Deed in lieu of foreclosure. Okay, so what happens if your short sale doesn't work out? You've got a condo in terrible condition, everybody around you is in foreclosure, nobody wants to buy it. You've had it listed for 3 months. Well, we can then turn to the bank and say, listen, bank, we're trying to sell it. Here's a copy of the listing agreement. Here's a copy of the MLS listing. We're listing it at market value. We cannot find a buyer. Will you just take the property back? And we've been able to negotiate a lot of those with the lenders. It's becoming less and less popular because the real estate market's really heating up. And I'll tell you now, it used to be we would put up a listing for a short sale, and I work very closely with my realtors. When we put up a listing for a short sale, and it would take weeks, months
to buy
to find a buyer.
Yeah.
Now
because
we can have a buyer.
The process takes so long, though.
Well, that's the closing process. That's everyone. Just to find a buyer used to take months. Now we put it up on MLS. The next morning we're sitting in an inbox full of offers.
Wow.
Because the market's heating up here right now. If you're a real estate investor, and I work with quite a few of them, now is the time to really, really get your deals. Now is the time to buy. It's a fantastic opportunity to come in, buy low, hold on to it, rent it out, make it cash flow positive, and then sell it in a couple years when the price goes up again.
So I got to talk to Gil off the air.
So now your office is in Pompano, but do you just do Broward? Do you Palm Beach County?
The main focus of our practice right now is Broward and Palm Beach County, but we've represented clients in just about all the 67 counties in Florida.
Okay, so if you're in Martin County, you can take care of them also. We're going to go to break.
Take a quick break.
Quick break. We'll be right back.
At the law firm of Vilu and Vilu, we can help you if you are facing foreclosure. Don't lose your home to the foreclosures by the bank or mortgage company. Call the law offices of Vilu and Vilu at 954-596-0669. You have rights and we can help you exercise them. At Vilu and Vilu, your first consultation is always free. If your home is underwater or you are behind on your mortgage and you're confused about what to do, we can help. Call our office today, 954-596-0669 or 1-877-BILU-LAW. That's 1-877-BILU-LAW. At Bilu and Bilu, our lawyers have more than 20 years combined experience in real estate law. The banks have lawyers, and so should you. The lawyers at Bilu and Bilu can help you modify your loan or apply for a short sale while they defend your case in court. Contact the lawyers at Bilu and Bilu today so you can sleep easy tonight. Your home is your castle. Trust the professionals at Bilu and Bilu to defend it for you. The law office of Bilu and Bilu handles foreclosure defense in Broward and Palm Beach and all 67 Florida counties. Call the law offices of Bilu and Bilu today at 954-596-0669 or visit us on the web at bilulaw.com. That's BILULAW.com.
And we're back. If you'd like to call and you've got a question about foreclosure, modification, we've got one of the greatest.
We have the
I'm not allowed to
expert.
say the best.
No, but we have the expert.
Yes, Gil Ballou. 888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470. Gil, what's the process once someone has served papers? God, that is just such a scary thing.
It's a
That
horrible
guy's
feeling,
sitting
yes.
there hiding in the
Absolutely.
bushes probably.
Absolutely. And, we have a lot of clients that wait until that happens to come see us. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's better than waiting until long after that happens. But it's better if you come in earlier because we can start helping you plan. So here's the basic way. Here's the basic thing that's going to happen. Here's the timeline you're looking at. Process server comes, knocks on your door. They've got a summons and complaint for you. I always tell my clients it is illegal to dodge service. They're going to find you eventually. They're going to serve you. Take the service.
So you can't lock
deal with
yourself in the
problem
bathroom
headline.
for an hour.
You can, but at the end of the day, that's going to limit your settlement options because you're going to have really, really, really made the other side upset.
Right.
And that's really going to limit a lot of your settlement options.
Oh.
Stand up, at the risk of sounding a little misogynistic, deal with it like a man. Stand
Right.
up, take your lumps if you got to take your lumps, meet it head on so that we can come in and we can get you the relief that you need.
So don't do, Steve O's not here. I promise you, it's not me.
Precisely. Worst thing to do. Because then you're just dodging service, which technically is a crime. So you get served, you have 20 days to file a response, 20 calendar days. People always are like, oh, it's 20 business days. No, it's 20 calendar days
Oh,
to file
really?
a response.
Okay. That's interesting.
So what happens if you don't? I'm going to go with what happens if you don't. It's kind of like a flow chart. If you don't file your response, the bank is going to file for a default. Default means that you haven't answered in the time period that was allotted to you, and now you are forever barred from making another appearance in this case and trying to defend yourself.
Wow.
It's a bad situation to be in
Yeah.
because it's basically your. If you ever seen the People versus Larry Flint, when Larry Flint's sitting in the courtroom with a piece of duct tape over his mouth, you can't say anything and you can't defend yourself. Now, if you hire somebody like me, it's another story because if you go with that first scenario, if the bank's attorneys are really on top of their game, and they're getting better and better every year, then you're going to be out of your house in 6 to 9 months.
So you get to live there for 6 to 9 months without paying your mortgage, though.
That's nothing. That's bupkis.
It's bupkis. I love that
Bupkis.
word.
It's nothing. Now, if you fight a good foreclosure defense, and look, I can't be in this to just waste time. That is not ethical. I
Right.
do know, however, that my clients have a benefit there, so I'm in no rush to bring this litigation to a head.
Oh,
most
absolutely.
in most circumstances. Sometimes there's another story going on.
Right. Because if you're getting into that situation to begin with, obviously it's a lack of funds and not able to pay
Right.
a mortgage.
And what we do is we work with our clients on a flat monthly fee so that they can afford it. There's no surprise bills from us. If I put 5 minutes into your case or 5 hours into your case
The
in a
same
month,
price?
you're paying me the same thing. And I understand the situation that my clients are in, and that's why we structure it that way.
Right.
This way you're not hit
people
with a surprise bill.
are having financial problems
Yeah, if you had-
that are coming to you. They can't make their mortgage payment, but they need someone like yourself.
Right, and I'll tell you, when this first started happening, people came to me. They said, "I'm being sued for foreclosure. What can I do?" I'm like, "I don't know. Did you pay your mortgage?" They're like, "No." I'm like, I don't think there's anything we can do." And by luck, I happened to look into something for a subcontractor for one of my friends, and I pick up the file in the courthouse and I look at it. I didn't even know he was in foreclosure or not. Turned out there was a summary judgment hearing in a couple of weeks, which
And
means
he didn't know?
He had no idea. He'd been out of the state.
Wow.
So he'd been served by publication. No idea what's going on. So I come in and I say, "Wait a second. The bank has filed an assignment of mortgage that says that they took ownership of this note and this mortgage 6 months after the lawsuit was filed." Now, I wasn't doing a lot of litigation at the time. This was a couple of years ago. Well, and even I know from when I did a lot of litigation, that's not right. So I walked into the motion for summary judgment. The bank was expecting to get a final judgment with a dollar amount and a sale date. And I walked in with a motion to dismiss. Guess
And
what?
what happened?
Case got dismissed.
Good for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why you have to call Belou and Belou. That's why.
And give me your phone number again.
954-596-0669, or you can look us up on the web, get a little more information without having to ask us, www.bilulaw.com. That's BILULAW.com. Our consultations are always free.
I was going to ask
We're
that.
happy to sit down with you, work through your options. And I'll tell you, one of the things I get when somebody walks out of my office, especially after they've been served, you're scared.
Yes.
You don't know where you're going to be sleeping. Is the sheriff coming tomorrow? Well, I walk you through the whole process. I say, look, this is how it works. The response I get for people that walk out, even if they haven't signed a retainer, is still thinking about what their options are, what they want to do, is I can breathe a little easier. I know what's going on because
You know what to expect.
It's scary.
Yes.
For most people that come into my office, this is the first lawsuit they've been involved in, and now they're looking at losing their home.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I went through it,
You
so I
went through it,
understand.
so you
yes.
know.
It was very scary.
Right. Literally, the question I get most often, especially from people, when it's in their home, they're like, is the sheriff just going to come and put up a sign and throw me out? I said, no, you're going to have plenty of notice unless you stick your head in the sand. If you stick your head in the sand, you've got no one to blame for yourself. And I'll tell you this, I was talking about people coming in early. The earlier you come in to deal with your foreclosure, the earlier you hire me, the less you're going to pay. Because if you've got to come in after the bank has a judgment, I've got to put everything else I'm doing. I've got to put the other 350, 400 foreclosure files just in Broward County that I'm dealing with on the side to deal with your problems. You need that type of service. You're going to pay extra for it. It's not me being mean. It's not me trying to teach a lesson.
It's reality.
It's reality. This
that's
is how
what
we
it is.
have to run a business. So the earlier you deal with it, the better. Because what happens? You come in, you've been served, you've got that 20 days to respond. I'm a busy person. I cannot get that response done in 20 days. I ask the court, I say, look, I make a motion for extension of time. I need a little more time to get this done. Usually we wind up getting a response out 60, 90 days down the road from there. We try to start off with a motion to quash service of process, technical term.
Which means what?
Basically, it means that something wasn't done right.
Okay.
Or we file a motion to dismiss. Motion to dismiss says, just based on these papers, nothing else around this, just based on what you filed with the court, your lis pendens, your complaint, the copy of the note, the copy of the mortgage, whatever the plaintiff has filed, there's something wrong with it that means that this case should be dismissed. Now, it's going to take me a good 3 or 4 months just to get that motion heard. Once that motion is heard, the judge is either going to grant it and give the bank 45 days, 60 days, 90 days, however long it is, to get their ducks in a row and file an amended complaint, or they're going to deny my motion and give me 30 days to file an answer. So now I get to file an answer. What's an answer, right? We file an answer in affirmative defenses. An answer is you go through the complaint, I admit, I deny, or I don't know. But what's an affirmative defense? Rene, do you have kids?
Yes.
Okay, what happens when you catch a kid doing something red-handed and you say, so did you do that? And the kid knows that they did it, and they know that you know they did it, and when they say, yeah, but. Well, what comes after but?
My kids know better.
Right, but yeah, but.
I'm just telling you.
And she locks them out of the house, too.
Yeah, I locked them in their room.
So, yeah, but is an affirmative defense. Right? It says, I did it, but here's why I'm not responsible. Here's why I'm not liable. And we go through very technical things. There's a part of your mortgage that has a notice provision that the bank has to send you what's called an acceleration letter. It's got a whole bunch of things that have to be in it. They're never perfect. So we say, hey, this was faulty. It's a prerequisite to filing a foreclosure suit. And so now the whole thing has to get thrown out. We also argue, like I was explaining before, well, the bank didn't have standing to file this lawsuit when they filed it. They didn't own the note yet. Now, these are issues ultimately that are going to win a trial for us if we are going to win a trial. And I'll tell you, not every case is great to take to trial, but I have some cases that I love taking to trial. I can't wait.
Okay,
What
so
does
what's the
that
purpose?
mean?
Yeah, I was going to say, what's
What
the
does that
purpose
mean
of
if you win
taking?
a trial?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens if
So
you
they
win a trial?
foreclose either way, though, right?
No, if I win, they don't foreclose. They don't get a judgment. I get a dismissal.
Dismissal, so they get to keep their house even though they haven't paid?
They
I don't
get to
understand
stay
that.
in their house, but the bank now has the opportunity to file the lawsuit again. They can start all over because every month, according to the 5th District Court of Appeals in a recent opinion, every month you have a continuing obligation. Now here's the real question that I don't know has been answered yet. I certainly haven't seen anything addressing it. When the bank filed that original lawsuit, they accelerated the loan balance. They said, we're now saying everything's due. Well, if they lost that case, or they dismissed that case, when they come back with the new suit, there's a question of whether they can accelerate again. Because here's what happens. Let's say they can't. Now they're only going after the payments they've made since that last case was dismissed, right? They might wind up with a judgment for $25,000. Somebody then goes and bids on the property for $500,000 because that's what it's worth, or $200,000.
Right.
Well, now we have what's called a surplus. The bank gets their $25,000 and change, and there's $175,000 sitting in the court registry. Guess who gets that?
Who?
Well, the next lien holders in line, so the second mortgage or somebody's loan on your
oh,
property. And if
okay.
not, guess who? The homeowner.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
very famous
See,
case.
I should have gone to him. I am so stupid.
I got to ask something because we're starting around.
Go ahead.
I love, because I've actually heard the response. Some people feel like they have a moral obligation, right?
Yeah.
That they got to pay the note.
Right.
What's your response?
All right, so contracts are just that. You do not have a moral relationship with your bank. They don't care about you. You don't care
They
about
don't
them.
care.
They don't care.
They'll close
all-
on you in 2 seconds. They'll take your house
It's
away.
all about the Benjamins, right?
Yes, of
So the way I see it is you have a legal obligation to make your mortgage payments or deal with the alternative. Well, if that alternative winds up leading to you living in the property for 7 years and then the bank settling with you at trial, which we settle a lot of our cases, waiving the deficiency, giving you cash for keys, and giving you a 120-day extended sale date, then it's not the end of the world. You made a good choice for yourself. The way I see it, it's like Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas was general manager for the Knicks, right? And then he got an offer to coach at FIU. Well, he really wanted to coach at FIU, so he had to make the decision to breach his contract with the Knicks or to work at FIU because the NCAA wouldn't let him do both. Well, guess what? He said, I have a moral imperative. I have something I want to do. It is worth me paying, I think it was a $2.5 million penalty, something like that, to go and work at FIU and not be the general manager for the Knicks. And since you brought it up on the last show, LeBron made his choice.
Yes.
I think it was to make his wife happy, but LeBron said, I could keep my contract or I can exercise my free agent option. And he said, it makes more sense for me, for whatever reason, to exercise that free agent option. Same thing
1
here.
minute left. Okay, why don't you give your phone number one more
Yes.
time and your address?
All right, we are at 954-596-0669. Like I said,
Easy to find,
consultations
too.
are
I've been
always
up there.
free. Very conveniently located between the Turnpike and I-95 on Atlantic Boulevard in Pompano Beach. You can always visit us on the web to get more information, www.bilulaw.com.
You must call them. If you're going through a foreclosure or a short sale, loan modification or anything, and you have any questions, call their law firm.
Yeah. Next month, Gil's going to be back. I want to talk next month about these pictures I see of Obama saying the assessment, that you can basically do whatever you want. I know that's not right. So we got some. I could have gone another 30 minutes. Easy.
I know, absolutely.
Give me your phone number one more time.
One more time, it's 954-596-0669. And now, if you're really listening and you're that cheap, 877-BILU-LAW.
Perfect.
Thank you, Gil. Thank you so much, and thank you, everybody, for listening today. And hey, without you, there is no us. Peace and love, everybody.
We're out.
Peace out.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show with Steve O and Rene. Tune in every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. while some of the top local experts in their field from Broward and Palm Beach counties educate you in the areas of law, health, financial, and home improvement. You can also call our offices at 888-574-6999 to become an expert on our show. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.